Yeah, Copenhagen Reggae Symposium. So first up is I'm going to read you a letter to the Minister of Culture of Jamaica, where reggae music comes from. And this is a follow-up to reggae's UNESCO status, which the Minister of Culture actually took part in making happen, and therefore we're addressing her. Very important issues that explain why we want to have a symposium in the first place and all of that. So there's a lot to unpack. But before I go ahead, I'd like to say that this letter is also addressed to the university students in Jamaica or in the West Indies because of the socio-economic aspects that we actually take up here and the role that we expect people who are educated to play. Um, why would I say that? For the same reason why I'm not trying to put on a Jamaican accent. For the same reason why I don't want to do any of that cultural appropriation is that the connotations to reggae music and its impact need to come out of that cultural little narrow sphere. And I think that is also the reason why the minister took reggae to UNESCO, because what reggae stands for, what the lyrics stand for, is so much wider than the outcome of the industry, the so-called music industry, and then the culture that came with the industry. And so it's very important. And this type of symposium is what's going to break out to all the other issues that really matter in our lives, you know, that give life to the lyrics of Bob Marley, Peter Tosh, Bob Andy, and so forth and so forth. You know, so a lot of the things that are going to take up in this at this symposium and in this letter are things which will depend on the brilliance and inspiration of the young people, up and coming educated people, or people who already are in other branches, but other areas under industries in Jamaica, for us to actually create this platform that's going to take reggae to where it's supposed to be. I've seen a lot of. I've watched a lot of what Lisa Hanna has been saying about the arts in Jamaica and how Jamaicans are not owning it. There's a bit of a history about that, also about how, you know, a lot of the press is kind of like locked down, kind of like shut down during the 70s or the 80s. You know, VP Records moving out, Tough Gong stopping being a press and all that kind of thing and all of that, and whether it's coming back and how it's going to come back. And then there's the whole issue with the reggaeton, and there's a whole issue with all this, what can we say, intellectual property rights, what can you say, I lost the word. Let it go. It doesn't matter. Maybe it's also best for me not to say that word, you know, so I don't say nothing negative about nobody right now. So leave it. Sometimes it's ja. Anyway, so I could say the students at the universities, it's for the minister, yes, but it's really giving you something to hold on to, you know, get your foot in the door as to where we want to take it. Also because it's the kind of bridge that'll make sense at knowing what kind of youths and what kind of people come to Copenhagen and build bridges between you and Copenhagen, a proper reggae bridge, an educational, socio-economic bridge, you know, and so that you have more contacts like the formal, industrial, professional back office of reggae music, you know, and then to make sure it's in the hands of people. So we're going to pick up a lot of things. So anyway, that's the introduction to the letter. Let me just jump into it, right? To the Minister of Culture. This letter is part of the preparations for my 18,000 kilometer walk from Cape Town to Cairo. 18,000 kilometer walk from Cape Town to Cairo, which will begin on Marcus Garvey's birthday, 17th August 2025, all right? The purpose of this letter is to present the idea of a basic emergency fundraising tool hereby known as the Reggae Dollar. Reggae Dollar. Basic emergency fundraising tool for emergencies, known as the Reggae Dollar. This letter is my contribution as a reggae creator and consumer to practical, implementable follow-ups to the status of reggae music, reggae music's recognition by UNESCO. Okay? Here we go now. Imagine if all good people of the world decided to have one token representing goodwill, good deeds, and progressive policies for communities globally. The Reggae Dollar is the proposal for that token. The following are the necessary pillars for the foundation of such a token. So the first three pillars are the foundation for such a token, and the first one is called Slave Driver, the Tables Have Turned. The readjustment of the structures and models that have defined reggae business since its inception. Readjustment. That's what we're trying to do, readjust that. The one crucial adjustment is to democratize the rights to publishing royalties. All right? Most lucrative part of the business. This step comes with the motto: reggae music is the people's music, and reggae music is the people. Reggae business is the people's reggae business. Let me say it again. Reggae music is the people's music, and reggae business is the people's reggae business. Okay? Number two, establishing the intellectual underpinning for the reggae dollar, which is basically the same thing as number one, except this is how we're actually going to do it, the actual tools that are going to make it happen, in order to reflect the most fundamental sentiments, grievances, and aspirations expressed in reggae lyrics, If you're from Malawi, you say reggae lyrics. Reggae lyrics worldwide, and transform them into applicable terminologies of governance. I have developed the two following concepts: CIPR, which stands for Collective Intellectual Property Rights, and CCSR, which is Comprehensive Corporate Social Responsibility. Right. And I'm going to go a little bit into what those are. And it says CCSR. How are we doing for time? Oh, we're good. CCSR is a way of amalgamating the collective corporate, environmental, and socioeconomic debt to communities and the environment into one manageable dynamic with set objectives. In other words, the debt that the corporates put on the environment and communities, we want to put all that into one manageable dynamic with set objectives. That's what CCSR in general is, okay? I could go deeper into this, and I will, but not here, not in this letter. That's why we have a symposium, all right? The optimization of that dynamic will be a significant basis for new industries and employment. I promise you. Okay, that's why we're talking to the university students. CCSR is made up of several components representing sound, timeless, and universal economic principles that ensure that everyone comes out a winner. Win-win situation. The overall objective of the components is to intensify the velocity of exchange. Intensify the velocity of exchange within the quantity theory of money supply. So that one is for the economic students. And that should be directly to the Minister of Economics in Jamaica and Finance, or directly to the Prime Minister, and directly to the people, right? This and the adoption of land value taxation, or the extrapolation thereof, land value taxation or the extrapolation of land value taxation, because it works in a certain way, but you can extrapolate it so that you don't necessarily put it on land but elsewhere. But the actual principle can be based elsewhere, but it's a very just principle. So this and the adoption of land value taxation or the extra